Hi everyone, I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, Why Office 365 is the Best Toolset for Teams. We appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to join us today. There are a couple of housekeeping items we'd like to mention before we begin the presentation. All attendees are in listen-only mode. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please either raise your hand so that we can unmute you, or you can submit them through the GoToWebinar question. We'll answer questions throughout the presentation, and we'll also follow up after the presentation to answer any additional questions. I'd like to introduce today's speaker. We have Jennifer Totten, who is our product strategist here at Socius. So at this point, Jennifer, I believe we're ready to transition over to you.
Excellent. Thanks, Lindsay. And thanks, everyone. I'd like to reiterate what Lindsay said. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. I'd like to start our conversation by talking about how the world of work is changing, because if our teams are going to be more effective and productive, we first need to understand what's happening in the modern workforce. Over the past decade, telecommuting has grown 115%, and today 37% of the workforce is comprised of remote workers, which presents unique challenges around security, communication, and team connection. The amount of time that in-office employees are spending away from their desks is increasing, and that, together with the remote workforce, are driving the need for mobile access to company data, whether employees are in the office or remote. Another interesting thing to note is that more and more people are using their own devices, their personal devices at work, and companies are working to accommodate this, and many even encourage it because there are a lot of benefits such as higher productivity and lower costs, and generally people are happier when they get to use one device for work and personal. This does create, however, a lot of challenges for businesses when it comes to making sure that apps work on multiple devices and that business data is protected. Given the growing need for mobile technology and better tools to support remote teams, it is a bit surprising to learn that 56% of employees say that they don't have the technology they need to do their jobs. The lack of the right tool for the job or the right technology for our knowledge workers especially causes work to be cumbersome and time-consuming. It creates gaps in communication and resource constraints and eventually low productivity. And all of these things are very frustrating for employees, and for some it can even cause them to disengage and ultimately leading to poor results for the organization. Now, it was startling for me to learn that 51% of the US workforce is not engaged. That's a huge problem for businesses today. We're in the middle of a revolution when it comes to transforming the way we work and the way we do business, and quite frankly, we just don't have time for disengagement at that level and apathy. We absolutely need empowered, engaged individuals and teams. There are a number of things that drive employee engagement, and we have to really look at it from the human element perspective. We're going to walk through a few of them here. The first is purpose. People really do need to feel like they are connected to a cause greater than themselves and connected to a team that is all working together towards that greater good. Visibility is also important, visibility into leadership initiatives, into what other people and other teams are doing, into data and results so they can make improvements. People also need to feel empowered. They need to feel like they can do their jobs effectively regardless of where they are, and that they are empowered to make well-informed decisions. Easy access to leadership is also increasingly important. Employees want to make sure that they're aligned with the greater vision of the organization and that they're on the same page. And then, of course, communications, probably one of the top 3 issues that organizations face is, just quicker, more relevant, more quality cross-team communication. And perhaps the most important piece is that people need to feel connected. We're living in a time where the digital and the physical are colliding, and connection is more important than ever. When we bring all of these things together for our employees, people are happier. And statistics show that when employees are connected and they're engaged and happier, both customer satisfaction and sales increase. And overall, engaged teams outperform by 202%. So we've talked about the remote workforce and the mobility needs, whether employees are in office or remote. We talked a minute about personal devices in the workplace, the disengagement challenge that organizations are facing today, and how engaged teams deliver better results. Some other key factors that we need to consider when working to understand today's teams are talent attraction and attention. Winning the talent war today means that your technology better move as fast as your best people do. It needs to be secure, and obviously mobile access is a must. Business teams today are often located across the world, working at various hours with a variety of devices, and employees value a flexible work environment that supports real-time collaboration and remote access to all the information and the people they need to get their job done. The generation gap in our workplace today is also an important consideration. For the first time, we have 4 generations working alongside each other, and that's dictating differences in how, when, and on what devices information is being consumed. You have some employees that want to communicate via email, others via phone or video, others via chat, etc. And finally, expectations from all of us are different now. We expect instant communication, easy interfaces, and of course, mobile access to nearly everything. So because today's teams are different, we need to think about our modern team structure beyond the typical hierarchy that we are used to. And because technology overall is driving a lot of changes in how customers research and buy products, how they interact with each other and with the companies that they purchase from, businesses today have to take a more holistic approach to serving customers. And this is driving teams to become much more interdependent, creating new connection points and a stronger need for collaboration as work streams cross what we know as silos in the traditional org structure. This is changing, obviously, the way that teams work. Companies are starting to organize projects based on skills versus employee roles. They're creating more cross-functional and multi-focus teams. The amount of time that employees spend engaged in collaborative work, in meetings, phone calls, answering emails, has increased by about 50% over the last few years. Employees are on 2 times the number of teams that they were on over the last 5 years or 5 years ago. And perhaps even more significant, this kind of collaborative work now takes up 80% or more of employees' time. So what all of this means is that modern teams need a modern workspace, and that means creating a truly centralized digital workplace. With the right technology, you can create an awesome space for teams that drives and fosters better communication, collaboration, and productivity. We need our knowledge workers to be more empowered and to have more time for strategic thought and contributions to innovation. And the teams of today absolutely have to be able to do more with less. The more that technology can help cross the gaps, the silos, the work streams, and areas of focus, the more strategic and productive our teams can be, right? And businesses need peace of mind that business data is going to be secure and protected wherever it goes. So when we at Socius think about what technology teams need in order to feel connected and have more visibility, have that quicker insight and access to information, and to make team communication and collaboration much more effective, we think Office 365. Because Office 365 is truly cloud first and mobile first, it enables your team to work better together. The cloud provides a secure, agile technology foundation that supports teamwork and communication across your entire business, regardless of where your people work. And recent studies also show that when teams use Office 365 as it's intended to be used as a collaborative tool set, they see a 48% in productivity. So let's talk about product now. Office 365 is designed to meet the unique needs of every group. For each of these categories of collaboration, Office 365 includes a purpose-built app, and together these create a holistic collaboration solution. What's unique about Office 365 is that all of these apps are built on a shared foundation of intelligent services. Office 365 Groups is a service that provides a single identity for teams across the different applications in Office 365, so it's easy to collaborate in whichever app you want to or need to. Microsoft Graph uses machine learning to map connections between people and content in Office 365 and then infuse this intelligence into all of your application experiences, helping you to discover relevant content and save time through more efficient connections. And all of this is built on the secure, compliant infrastructure of the Azure Cloud Platform. There are more apps in the Office 365 suite than we have time to get into today. So for the purpose of our discussion this morning, I'm going to focus on some of the key Office 365 apps that best boost individual and team productivity. And we'll wrap with Microsoft Teams, which acts as the hub by pulling it all together. Every Office 365 application offers collaboration functionality. And we'll start with Outlook because many of us spend much of our days there. Outlook through Office 365 drives individual productivity with focused inbox, which is basically machine learning designed to help you put your attention on the most important items that are coming into your inbox by understanding your behavior with clicking and opening emails, etc. Files that are stored on OneDrive can be shared via email as cloud attachments through Office 365 Outlook, which eliminates the need to eat up storage space on a local drive, which can sometimes freeze up your Outlook desktop app. I know I've had that happen to me a few times over the years. @mention functionality calls attention to critical actions by sending notifications to the person who's tagged, and that eliminates the wait period and allows people to be more proactive in taking their next steps. With Office 365 groups, we can go beyond distribution lists with a group inbox and shared calendaring. And you can save group history to help onboard new group members. They can go back and view previous history to help speed up their onboarding process. Skype for Business offers online video, voice, and broadcast meetings, as well as instant messaging functionality and presence. With the Skype for Business mobile apps, you can text, meet, and call across all devices. And if you own the E5 plan, you can enable PSTN and PBX functionality to unify your global phone systems. Companies can save travel dollars by hosting virtual team meetings with employees and customers alike. And there's also desktop sharing and remote control to aid in application support. Skype Broadcast is a great way for leadership to reach out to employees to create that visibility and connection with leadership that employees crave. Skype can also be integrated into other applications such as Dynamics 365 or Dynamics GP to enable click-to-call from where those employees perform most of their work. This saves time spent switching between apps, and you can also engage customers by using Skype in your web pages and apps. Next, we'll talk about creating, sharing, and finding content with Office Client and OneDrive. One of the coolest things about Office 365, and one that a lot of people aren't aware exists, is the co-authoring capability in Office 365. So as an example, working on a document in Word that requires input from multiple team members is a very common practice in business, right? Without Office 365, what we typically do is attach a document to an email and then send it to the different stakeholders, and then we have to wait for feedback, and then actually getting the feedback usually requires some follow-ups because we're all busy, and we end up receiving separately edited versions of the original document, and this requires time to compare and recompile or merge the documents. With the co-authoring functionality in Office 365, team members can edit and contribute to a document together in real time. This functionality alone can save the entire team a ton of time and help them deliver results and complete projects faster. With OneDrive, you can store your documents and sync them locally with locally stored versions if needed for offline work, and then you can share files with folks either inside or outside your organization with a secure link. Leveraging Delve functionality with OneDrive and Office, you can quickly find, follow, and discover content from anywhere on any device. And finally, notifications via mobile apps can alert your team members proactively to comments and changes made to documents, which allows you to move through the process a lot quicker. Microsoft is continuing to invest and innovate in SharePoint. It does remain a key technology for content management, sharing, and team collaboration. With the mobile app, it's like holding your company intranet in your pocket. And the new user interface design offers up intelligent recommendations and makes finding the content that you need quite easy. Creating sites in SharePoint Online is much easier and quicker than with the older on-premise versions, and we can also automate business processes with Microsoft Flow and Power Apps. One of the best things about collaboration is that when people who don't normally work together join in a conversation together, everyone benefits from the different perspectives, bringing new ideas to the table. Yammer is essentially a social network built for work that fosters open discussions across your entire company or within specific groups. With search and discovery, you can tap into collective knowledge, you can tag discussions for easy searching, upload files of all kinds, and link out to external resources like blogs and websites. You can crowdsource ideas and share best practices across the organization. You can take the pulse of your employees using polls, and people can follow each other, which helps drive connection. And Yammer also helps drive employee engagement with actionable updates and alerts and recognition through the praise functionality. With Microsoft Teams, we have a chat-centered workspace that creates an opportunity to create a more open, fluid, and digital environment that's designed with how teams work in mind. You can think of Microsoft Teams as a digital translation of an open space office environment that fosters easy connection and conversation to help people build relationships. An environment that makes work visible, integrated, and accessible across a team so everyone can stay in the know, and one that helps build a team culture that's both fun and ensures that everyone has a voice. Microsoft Teams delivers on 4 core promises to create a digital workspace: chat for teams, a hub for teamwork, security teams trust, and customizable for each team. First and foremost, it provides a modern experience for conversations for today's teams. Teams supports not only persistent but threaded chats that keep everyone engaged, and team conversations are by default visible to the entire team, but there is of course the ability for private discussions within the Teams application as well. Skype is deeply integrated so that teams can participate in voice and video conferences fluidly, and the experience itself is fun with emojis and stickers, GIFs. This makes it easy for people to add personality to their conversations, which helps support that human connection. Second, Microsoft Teams brings together the full breadth and depth of Office 365, providing a true hub for teamwork. The apps that we are most familiar with, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and others like SharePoint, OneNote, Planner, Delve, and Power BI are all built into Teams so that people have all the information and all the tools they need at their fingertips. Intelligent services are surfaced throughout the experience to help with information relevancy, discovering, and sharing. And Microsoft Teams is also built on Office 365 groups, which, as I mentioned earlier, it's the cross-application membership service that makes it easy for people to move quite naturally from one collaboration tool to another, which preserves their sense of context. And finally, Microsoft Teams is built for each of us, meeting accessibility standards so that every team member can participate. And all teams are unique, so Microsoft has invested deeply in ways for you to customize your team environment. For example, team members can create their own channels to organize conversations. They can integrate their favorite cloud services with a feature called tabs that will provide quick access to frequently used content and information. Teams shares the same connector model as Exchange, which provides notifications and updates from third-party services like Twitter or GitHub directly within your Teams experience. And lastly, we're including full support for the Microsoft Bot framework to bring intelligent first and third-party services into your team environment. And finally, because it's built on Office 365, Teams also has the advanced security and compliance capabilities that the Office 365 commercial customer base expect. Data is encrypted at all times, and like the commercial services for Microsoft, there's no standing access to your customer data. Microsoft has a very transparent operational model with a financially backed SLA, and Teams, of course, will support key compliance standards. And as you would expect, Teams is served out of Azure, Microsoft's hyperscale global network of data centers, and it's automatically provisioned within Office 365 and so managed centrally just as any other Office 365 service. Microsoft Teams is particularly well suited for teams where the team members are highly engaged and iterating on shared deliverables. Here are a few examples of some of these scenarios by team. So as an example, the marketing team needs to coordinate campaigns and events and share the latest content drafts for feedback from the team and maybe other team members. They need to get automated reports from analytics tools and share those out and prepare marketing launches across multiple stakeholders. Just as one example. So we're going to move through a deeper discussion around teams, and I'd like you to try to keep your own team's activities, tasks, and collaboration needs in mind as we move through this. So we're going to talk about how Microsoft is delivering on the 4 promises of Teams. First is chat for today's teams. Microsoft Teams allows for the teams to communicate in real time. All team members can see and contribute to the team chat, seeing chat history at any time to recall past discussions and decisions. You have the flexibility to create private chats, as I mentioned, for small group conversations with one or many people for when a conversation needs to be taken offline. And you can stay on top of all of the activity with notifications that alert you when you've been mentioned or when someone's replied to a conversation that you're part of. You can also receive Skype for Business chat messages on Microsoft Teams so that you have one place for all of your team communications. And of course, you can use Microsoft Teams across all your devices as they are supported across Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, Windows Phone, and on the web. I mentioned that Teams is integrated with the full depth and breadth of Office 365 functionality. So not only is Microsoft Teams the place for your team chat communications, it's also a hub for your team's collaboration. You find in a single place the chat conversations with your team, your files, team members, and everyday tools, and we'll talk about everyday tools later in this presentation. When you need to talk face-to-face, you can start a video call from any Microsoft Teams chat, whether team or private. You can turn off video if you just want to make a voice call. You can also join scheduled Skype for Business meetings from Teams. And because Microsoft Teams is integrated so deeply with Office 365, teams have quick access to all the information they need, whether the files are shared through SharePoint, whether they're notes in OneNote or tasks in Planner. Excel, PowerPoint, Word, PDFs, and other documents can also be shared and open right within the application. And if you can't immediately find what you're looking for, you can search in Teams for people, files, chats, and links. You can move easily between multiple Microsoft Teams, so it's easy to see what's going on across different teams, across channels, across chats, and it's also easy to set up and manage. So whether you're IT or an end user, it is extremely simple to set up and manage Teams. And because of its integration with Office 365, again, all of your team members are instantly there. Customizable for each team. Microsoft Teams gives you the flexibility to create a workspace that fits your team's needs. You can create different channels for the team based on work streams or topics. You can add new tabs to a channel for quick access for frequently used documents and cloud services like PowerPoint and Planner. Teams also includes integrations from partners like Zendesk, Asana, and Hootsuite. And tabs are used to surface content, and I'll show you that in a few, in its native format, allowing for rich collaboration in the right context. You can explore data and take quick actions with bots like Tbot or third-party bots like Polly, which is used for polling your team. And with more than 70 Office 365 connectors from services like Twitter, Dynamics 365, and GitHub, you can send rich notifications right into a channel, which is great for notifying a team about required actions, completed transactions, breaking news, etc. And you can stay on top of all the activity with notifications that I mentioned earlier. Office 365 has strong commitments around security, compliance, privacy, and transparency, and Microsoft Teams was built with these same principles to deliver an enterprise-grade platform. From the start, Teams was architected with compliance, authentication, and privacy in mind, and it'll have compliance built in with support for industry standards. Microsoft has recently added features that you've come to expect from the Office 365 apps and services such as Archive, e-discovery, legal hold, etc. These features help you control sensitive information if your business has specific security requirements for content and security, content security and data use. Microsoft Teams protects team data with strong security measures, including two-factor authentication, hard passwords, and access policy. Your data is always encrypted, whether it's in chat, notes, or files. And another important thing to note, we do get asked this question quite often, your data is your data. You own it, you control it. Microsoft doesn't mind customer data for advertising purposes, and they safeguard your customer data with strong contractual commitments as well. So let's take a quick and closer look at some of the product screenshots within Microsoft Teams, just to give you a better picture here. So starting with the general navigation and base functionality, this is a screenshot of the desktop application for Teams, which happens to be my favorite. Along the left-hand side here, we have the navigation bar, which offers up tabs for quick access to activities pertaining directly to the individual. Access to private chats, to whatever teams that you're a member of. You can, of course, see and schedule meetings from here, and then quick access to files as well. Moving a bit to the right, you can see that we are in the Northwind Traders team. And down below the team name, you can see these individual channels, which is where we would set up channels for sub-conversations, projects, work streams, etc. The notification to the right of this social media channel indicates to me that I have activity in this channel that I have yet to check out. And then the notification to the right of the Teams icon here says there's new activity in more than one team that needs to be checked out. Of course, there's a search bar here at the top, and again, you can search through files, content, people, activities, and if you're looking to start a chat, there's a quick pen and paper icon here to start a chat right from this main navigation. Moving to the right, you can see individual tabs listed out for this particular channel within this team. We're on the group conversation or the team chat discussion board, if you will. And if we move to the right here, you can see that Asana and Zendesk as partners have been added as tabs into this team channel. If we wanted to add another connector or service, we would just click this plus sign here, and we would get a lot of options. You can connect to PowerPoint, Planner, Excel. There's just a number of services and partners you can connect to here. This highlighted star to the right of the team name on the top of the screen indicates that I have chosen this team as one of my favorites, and by doing so, it lists Northwind Traders in my quick access favorite list for teams on the left-hand side. One final note that I will make here is that all throughout Teams, because it is deeply integrated with Skype for Business, you can see teammate availability just as you would within your Skype for Business application. Okay, this is there we go. When you're on the conversation team chat board within a channel, you can see that we have a very social network sort of structure. You can save conversations, you can like and follow conversations, and this one happens to be marked as important, which adds an extra layer of alert to your teammates so that they know that this is a high priority item. This image here is an example of the customizable memes that can be added that help lend to the fun nature of Teams and to, I guess, strengthen the human connection and just make it a fun experience. And then here you can see you can add images and files, and you can even start a video call from a conversation right within the team channel. This is an example of the private chat window, and you can see over on the left-hand side, I've gone into the chat tab. I have access to all of the chats that I have held. They can be deleted or stored. And along the top here, I can see which individuals are a part of this particular chat. And then over on the top right side, you can see I can turn this into a video call, an audio call, or add additional team members to this conversation to keep the collaboration flowing and take it to another level. Okay, and this is an example of how you can add files to the conversation board. You can see here that an Excel and PowerPoint file have been added to this team, and when you start conversations on files, they do show up in the conversation board. So regardless of where you start the conversation, everything rolls up to the team chat, of course, with the exception of private chats. This is an example that you can see of a meeting that is scheduled in the team, and then an example of the notification that an individual receives when they are tagged directly with an @mention within a conversation. This is a screenshot of the file storage, which is linked to SharePoint within a team. And you can see that this is specific to the marketing channel within the Northwind Traders group. We can upload documents here or create new documents right from this window. And you can see that we have visibility into when and by whom documents are either uploaded or modified. When you drill into a document from files within Teams, it's exposed right within the Teams application. And you can click the edit button here to edit the document by opening it either in the online version of Office Word or the desktop version. And you can start a conversation relevant to this document right here to get collaboration flowing. One final thing that I'll share with you is the integration with Planner. Connected as a tab to this Teams channel, Planner allows you to manage and assign tasks within your team. You can categorize your to-do lists. You can assign to one or multiple people on your team. And you can, a little out of order here, you can label these to streamline organization. And here you can see that you can assign tasks to one or more individuals. So this concludes what we wanted to cover today. I hope that you'll come away from our time together with a stronger understanding of some of the key Office 365 functionalities and how they boost both individual and team productivity, and why Office 365 is the best tool set for Teams. And one more thing before I turn it back over to Lindsay and we move to Q&A. I do want to note that Socius is offering managed services, and because it's easy to underestimate the amount of ongoing attention that's required for long-term success of Office 365, considering engaging with a partner like Socius for managed services that focus on your long-term success and adoption of Office 365 is a smart move. And of course, you can learn more about the managed services that we offer on our website. You can follow the link here, socius1.com. That's it for me. Thank you, Lindsay.
All right. Before we start Q&A, a couple of announcements. Upcoming webinars and events. We have one tomorrow, Mitigating the High Cost of Low Adoption for Office 365. That's tomorrow from 2 to 3. And then Tuesday, September 19th from 1 to 2, we have Microsoft Dynamics Tips and Tricks. And then all of our events and resources and webinars can be found on our website, socius1.com. And we do have a couple of poll questions for you all today. If you would participate, that would be great. We always appreciate your feedback to help us. So the first question that we have, what percentage of your workforce is remote? All right, it looks like 0 to 25 is the winner there. And our next one, do your employees use personal devices at work? It looks like yes is by far the winner there. Third one, do you currently own Office 365? Yes or no? And this one is pretty much split down the middle, 52 yes, 48% no. And then if you do own Office 365, are you leveraging Microsoft Teams? Yes, no, or you do not own. All right. Looks like we have about 16% yes, 35% no, and then around half do not own. And then our final question, what is your primary role at your organization? All right, we have a little bit of everybody, but it looks like the majority of us today are in the finance department. All right, so currently there are no questions. Remember, you can put them in the question box. And then if you do think of anything after this webinar, you can reach out to Jennifer, and we will definitely get those questions answered. We'll stay on the line for another couple minutes to see if anybody has questions that may come up. All right, well, if there are no questions, oh, we just had one come in. Can Teams be accessed on my mobile device?
I want to make sure I heard that correctly. Was the question, can Teams be accessed on my mobile device?
Yes.
Yes, it can.
All right.
Thank you.
And then is there an app for Teams?
There is, yes. Both
Okay.
desktop and mobile.
All right, well, with that, we will give you all time back in your day, and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.